Well, hey guys, welcome back to the channel tonight. This is a fairly easy video to make for me because this is obviously my top 5 Knipex tools. I'm going to do one of these for Wera, one of these for PB Swiss, all of that coming up over the next few weeks, and just kind of show you guys the top. You know, I get so many tools from these brands, but we want to get into the top 5, not just that are my favorite, but kind of a balance between that and the ones I use absolutely the most. So these are the tools I'm grabbing several times a day at least on service calls. So let's get into these. There's going to be a few that I'm sure you already are into because some of these are the staples that you pretty well have to start with. So let's get into that. Number 1, if you've not bought any Knipex tool, and you're just curious what the whole fuss is about these things with the red and blue handles and all this thing, and that you hear everyone talking about, well, and some of you guys that don't like seeing brand new tools all the time are going to get the pleasure of seeing ones that actually have some pretty good wear on them here and don't exactly sound new anymore. They're nicely broke in. So if you haven't bought any Knipex tool before and you need to know what is something to start with that will kind of be a game changer for you, the pliers wrench. And this is a 250 millimeter, extremely common one to grab. I do carry well, I can't even tell you what it is anymore. These handles are completely worn smooth. There's pretty well nothing left marked anywhere. You can't hardly, they're completely smooth. I can tell the second that I pick up one of my helper's pairs of these. I've done it before. He handed me his pair thinking they were mine and giving them back. Knew instantly when you touch the handles they're not. Mine are completely worn smooth. So that is also a common size that I use. I believe those are the 180s. I think it does say 180 down under there. But the 250, if you have to do, some light plumbing repairs, you do maybe taking care of your rental homes, you do a little bit of commercial maintenance, any of that kind of thing, grab you a pair of these. And I know a lot of people are going to say my old adjustable wrench works just fine. It doesn't work like this. And the reason for that is, of course, the clamping action that you see the jaws do right there when you close this. When you set these to the right size and you clamp down, they actually bite the nut. So you don't have to worry about everything being loose. The fact that it has adjustment points in here that lock solid with this push button mean that you don't have your adjustment changing the entire time that you're trying to work. So when you use an adjustable wrench and you keep going, taking something off, it'll either work closed or work open. And as you go, the wrench gets looser or tighter, and it's not perfect. So the pliers wrench is as close to perfect as I've ever found for this solution. So whatever size you need, if you just need a pocket EDC type, something you want with you all the time, grab like a 180 or even maybe a little smaller if you want to. But this 180 size, the jaw's open big enough that you can get a fairly serious bite on something if you need to. But for all around in a plumbing bag, the 250s are absolutely fantastic and a pair you'll end up getting anyway. So the same size is going to go for the Cobras. And these are kind of another iconic one as we work through here. This is the 8702 250s. I will have these linked down in the description below, so if you're looking for these, you can jump down there. They'll be available at the KC Tool link, and I'll try to have some Amazon links for you as well. But that is what they look like. They're kind of just an iconic pair of pliers from Knipex. Been out a very long time. They make a lot of versions of these. Of course, they come in all different handle styles. You can get them from VDE all the way down to just the smooth plastic. You can get anything you want. These are all comfort grip except for one pair here today that I'm going to show you. So this is called comfort grip if you're looking for it. And for me, the reason for getting comfort grip on certain types of their tools, it's literally because of comfort grip. When you're using a tool that requires a lot more pressure be put on it, where, if you're using wire strippers or something, you're probably not throwing your whole back into these things to do the job they're intended to do, at least. We don't have to get into what you may use them for. But on these, you may get all the way to the point where you're standing on these handles to break something loose, or both handing this thing. And these give you a lot more surface area than this type of handle in order to, just helps keep your hand feeling better through a long day of wrenching on stuff. But these adjust very nicely, same push button style. They do have a quick adjust type. This is not them. They're still out on the truck, but zips down without having to push the button from the open position. But for overall every day, this is a nice way to go. Get you a pair of these and a pair of these to get started, and welcome to Knipex. That's kind of the easiest way to say that. By the time you use those, even a few weeks on the job site, you will have your own opinion developed of Knipex. When you do that, get back to me in the comments down there and let me know what you thought if you really have never had a Knipex tool. So, my third favorite tool, and the first two, they're just something I have to use every single day, so I don't know how I can't say they're my favorite. So, they're in my favorites. Okay, so this is the forged wire stripper, and this is made specifically for the US market, and they added a lot of neat features to it because of that. The tip, unlike the previous one, and yeah, these have a little squeak to them, has a very wide tip on this, so you can get a hold of your wires, give them a good twist. It almost gives you the width of a pair of linemen's at the end. You don't have quite the squeezing ability and pressure because of the longer nose on these as linemen's, but you can get a hold of it and twist your wires up if you need to with just this tool. The other thing is 632 and 832 screws go right through these holes. They do not need to be threaded in, and they cut clean. You can go thread them right back into that light fixture or whatever it is you're working on. No problem. It works fantastic. It's one of the main reasons that these replace the other versions in my bag. The other versions just don't do that. They have a little bit different cutting style as well. These have a really nice shear right in here for cutting wire, and you can overpower the spring and get a way bigger wire in there if you need to. These cut wire like it's not even there. It's absolutely fantastic. Well, we just got some 12 here on the edge of the table, but it's just, there's just almost nothing to it. I've got like what, one finger down there, something like that. They're just fantastic. I love the shear action on these. I need to oil them with some ballistol here in a minute though. But in solid wire, you've got 10, 12, 14, and 16 in your stripper. In stranded, 12, 14, 16, 18, and 20. So they literally cover almost all the common wire sizes that we deal with here. So in a really slim design too. The whole thing folds down to there. It has a lock on it right here that keeps it from flying open. It is spring loaded, so you don't have to keep pulling it back open. They jump back open when you're stripping wire. You can just go through it really, really quickly. Just an extremely nice tool. And that is reflected by the fact that I believe I've bought every single pair of these that I have. I don't think Knipex gave me any of them, and I have 5 or 6 pairs of these. I've got the comfort grips, maybe even some VDEs. I'm not sure. 2 or 3 pair just like this. So they're in quite a few of my bags. I like to have a tool. I have bags set up for all kinds of different projects, types of work that I do, and some of the tools end up duplicated because of that. Over time, you build your collection. That's just the way it works. So here's another neat one that just came out, maybe a year or 2 ago. This is the Knipex Twin Grip right here. And I'll say I almost use this as much or more when I get called out to our farm. We have a big horse boarding stable that I've had for many years. And when it comes to working on fence and all kinds of rusty old bolts and stuff in the barns and everything, these things are amazing. They have the jaws there that have the ability to grip straight on from the front. They're grooved right inside there. I actually have a YouTube short on these where I showed it really up close and in depth. And they just have a very well-made jaw design where if you need to get into a tight spot head on and turn a bolt straight on, you can. That's not how you normally want to have to deal with a bolt, but that ability is here. And a lot of times where that comes in really handy is if you're working with your pliers wrench undoing the nut on the back end of this rusty bolt, you can actually get these up in a hole and get a grip on the head to hold it. Because you can hold a lot more pressure than you can turn. So being able to get in there and do those kind of odd jobs is really where this tool shines. It does have a push button adjust right here that allows you to open these jaws up to fit on a lot bigger nut sizes, and I've had it up to maybe 7/8 on a nut, so it'll fit stuff that you can't hold or turn. So really, really handy tool. Very slim design also, just right there. And I like it, the same reason, with the comfort grip, because I put a lot of pressure on these turning and twisting and everything, even, you know, just twisting barbed wire and stuff like that. Fantastic for that with the straight on gripping ability. So I'm sold on these things. I don't know how many pairs of these I have, but it's a few. This is a new pair that I had grabbed and thrown. Well, they got a little bit of rust in there. This pair came out of my wear-a-bag, so that's usually where I keep the newest tools. Once they're worn in, they end up working there. Everything works its way towards the plumbing bag. Once it hits the plumbing bag, it usually is a rougher looking tool, at least on my truck anyway. So I start out with my finishing tools over here, and they work their way down when I buy new stuff. So anyway, the last one of the top 5 here is the Knipex. And I've ended up, I bought this to start with, and I've always been just a big fan of normal flip open, like the Fiskars style, and all knives, the Lenox Gold utility knives. I bought one of these to try it initially, and really didn't think I'd get into this design. And now I don't know how many I have, maybe 4 or 5. Sometimes they pop up for a pretty good deal, like 20 bucks, 25 bucks, something like that. And I'll grab another one or two. But the problem I started running into was a lot of times I'll run out of razor blades in my other knife, and these have the break off razor blades, of course, in there. So I can just keep right on going, snap it off and go. And then there's even 2 more blades inside the back of this. If you pop it open, you've got, you know, 2 more right there, and they all break off too. So it's a pile of blades before you have to worry about much. That, and if you're having to cut foam, like foam insulation, the rigid foam insulation, this knife has that spine that comes out right here on the back, and it just makes this blade so nice and stiff that you can actually get a nice straight cut with it. And that can be really important. It's just those little things, you know, separate the pros from whatever you want to call the other ones. But just a great little knife right there. I've really enjoyed it. It's nice and lightweight, and with 3 blades in there with the snap-off stuff, fantastic. I think a couple of mine came with Tajima blades in them, and you already know I love Tajima. I use their tapes, their knives, everything all the time. So combining Knipex and Tajima for me is absolutely fantastic. But this one has Knipex branded blades in it, so not sure. They look identical to the ones from Tajima, so who knows what they're doing there. But anyway, if you follow along this far, be sure you've subscribed to this channel. You know you love quality tools, and we're going to talk about them. Yeah, as long as there's quality tools to talk about. So I enjoy this. It's almost like my relaxation at the end of my work days, getting to come to the shop, shoot some videos. It's a lot of fun for me. My full wood shop is over there that direction, and usually I have to make a bunch of parts and things for projects for the next day, and so I'll come in and get to spend a little while relaxing with you guys before I do that. But thank y'all for being here. We'll see you guys on the next one.